What's up, Gooners, and welcome back to Distant Gooner TV, your ultimate destination for all things Arsenal, wherever you are in the world. It's been a while, hasn't it? This international break has gone on forever, but we're finally back, people. The Premier League. This Tuesday, under the lights of the Emirates, this is your preview for Arsenal versus Fulham. A clash that's more than just about the 3 points. How many players are returning to the Emirates? So we've got Leno, Willian, Alex Iwobi, and most notably, Emil Smith-Rowe. Will he come back to haunt us? In this video, we're going to talk through the key talking points, analyse both squads, and of course get hyped up for what promises to be a good game. So stick around, drop your predictions in the comments, making sure you're smashing that like button, and please subscribe to the channel. Let's have it. All right, let's dive into the key talking points of this game. First up, Riccardo Calafiori. So unfortunately, whilst on international duty for Italy versus Germany, he sustained a knee injury. Now, he's been kind of in and out this season anyway. He seems to have a few games, then gets a niggling injury, and he's not really had that consistent run of games. So it's unfortunate for him. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, but I think, he's definitely out of this game, and we're probably looking at a few weeks. Now, as we've already mentioned on this channel a number of times, we know we're blessed in defence, let's face it. We've got fuck all up front, but we're completely blessed when it comes to our defenders. So, not massively concerned there. And it leads me on to a much brighter note of Miles Lewis-Skelly. What a guy. What a fucking season he's having. I mean, it's just, you can't even write it. This is just amazing. I mean, who'd have thought in the summer that he'd even be in the team, let alone he comes into the team. He looks like he's been there for years. He's almost like the reincarnation of like an Ashley Cole. And then, he gets his first England call-up and people are questioning, is this too early for him? He's only 18. He's only had a few games for Arsenal. And my God, didn't he just grab the chance with both hands? Absolutely just unbelievable performance, and tops it off with a goal. It was just crazy. And then he follows it up a few days later with a equally as impressive performance. So yeah, absolutely buzzing for him, and he no doubt will have an absolutely amazing reaction from the fans come Tuesday. And the big question on everybody's lips, will Bukayo Saka be back? Now, I'm kind of indifferent to this one. Of course, let's face it, as an Arsenal fan, we all want to see him back on the pitch. We know what he adds to the team. We know what we're currently lacking without him. But is this too early? I mean, and is this a risk? The last thing we want to do is have him rush back into the team, fall back with an injury, and then he's out for even longer. I mean, could you imagine? And, it worries me because I feel Arteta has form in this area, that he seems to rush players back quicker than expected and plays them when they don't need to be played. We've mentioned that before on the channel. So I'm not sure about this one, people. No doubt if he is back, he'll get an absolutely massive reception. The Star Boy's absence has been felt, let's face it. It's been felt so badly. So, we hope he returns sooner rather than later. But at the expense of an injury, no. I'd rather have him, be back properly refreshed, properly fit, managing his minutes back in the team. Yeah, I think, what's the point? I know that there's a big Champions League game coming up, but at some point we've got to prioritise the health of some of these players. Now, Gooners, let's talk about the returning faces. So we've got Leno in goal, who's had a fantastic season. We know about his, he can pull off some really, really good saves. Will he frustrate our front line? Probably, because, what front line? So yeah, but anyway, let's hope the lads bring something. They've got a lot of flair in that midfield. I mean, Alex Iwobi as well. He's another player that, whilst I was happy to see go, we always want to see our young players do well, don't we? And he did well for a while, but he wasn't the player that we needed, let's face it. And he's gone on, he's played for Everton since. He's then ended up at Fulham. And again, it's almost like he's at this point in his career where he's kind of having a renaissance, and he's really effective, super effective, good at taking on players. And what I have noticed about him is he's really got a good delivery on him. Whether it's passing, whether it's crossing into the box, he's delivering an end product to his moves. So, he's really impressed me at Fulham. Then there's Willian, who's been a solid performer for Fulham since his move. After a brief, underwhelming, should I say, stint at Arsenal. You can bet he'll want to show us what he's made of. And to be fair to him, for however bad he was with us, he's been really impressive for Fulham now in his second stint at the club. Fuck knows what happened when he turned up at Arsenal. He was like, he turned up this Brazilian, international, albeit coming to the end of his career, overnight turned into fucking, I don't know, Jimmy Carter or something from back in the 80s. Older viewers will know what I'm on about. And that's probably a bit harsh, actually, on Jimmy Carter. But you get the gist. He comes, with this Brazilian flair, and all of a sudden, he was just fucking dire, wasn't he? Let's face it. He was diabolical. Just non-existent at all. But yet, he's then gone on since, and he's been, particularly when he's come back to the Premier League with Fulham, he's been outstanding for them in games that I've seen, and even on the weekend. I know they lost the game, but you do give him the ball and he's going past players. He's a threat. He's everything that he wasn't at Arsenal. So he's clearly they're doing something for him over there. But the one name that really stands out, people, is the return of Emile Smith-Rowe. Now, there was always some, I guess, halfway house with some of the fan base on Emile Smith-Rowe. Of course, like I said with Iwobi, you want to see these young kids coming through the academy, going into the first team, and a bit like Lewis Skelly, just setting the place on fire. But it just didn't turn out, did it, for Emile Smith-Rowe? I would have liked to have seen him stay this season, particularly if you think about all the injuries that we've had, the dip in form that Odegaard has had. It would have been nice if he'd have had some pressure from Smith-Rowe, but it wasn't to be. And of course, he's moved on to Fulham, and he's had a good few games. But, again, he hasn't really hit the ground running. I mean, he doesn't play every week. And to be fair to him, his fitness is always up and down, and it's questionable. And that was always a big question mark at Arsenal. He wasn't available all the time, and he really, really hindered his development. And I think it's stopping him at Fulham. Hopefully, touch wood, he manages to turn it around, because we all know there's an absolutely fantastic player in there, running with the ball. I've rarely seen a midfield player that runs with the ball and glides like he does. In his pomp, he was a brilliant player. And particularly, like Arteta mentions, when we were struggling in the Premier League a few seasons back, he really came in, and it was him and Saka who really were the standout players that kind of dragged us through a really kind of busy winter period that, could have easily gone against us, and they really dragged us through. So, yeah, there'll always be a special place at the Emirates for Smith-Rowe, and I fully expect the fans to get behind him and give him a really warm reception if he plays. Hopefully, he doesn't score, because we know how this goes, people. How many times does it happen that players return, a bit like Nketiah earlier in the season, and it doesn't even matter, like in his case, whether they're in a good vein of form or not. They just seem to... They come up against their old team, and it's almost like a guaranteed thing that they're going to score. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen to us. Right, time to talk tactics and some of the crucial battles that we'll see on the pitch. So first up, we have to talk about Fulham's star man, as far as I'm concerned. And some people may think star man as a defender, but Anthony Robinson, quality dynamic left back. Hell of a lot of pace. He's been the creative force behind that team. I don't know how much assists he's got, but I know that it's up in the kind of Trent Alexander-Arnold level. So, he creates a lot of chances, creates a lot of havoc down that left-hand side, and he's hard to beat as well. So he's a quality defender as well. But yeah, he regularly racks up goal assists. Stopping him will be one of Arsenal's biggest priorities, and the battle will likely be Timber, I would imagine. I don't see White coming in anytime soon. I think he seems to at the moment favour Timber in that position until I guess White really proves his fitness and then can push Timber and perhaps overtake him in that position. Because I still love to see Ben White in this team, I've got to say. Whoever steps into the role, it's going to be a tough ask against, a tough player. So we'll see what happens. Next, Fulham's fluid movement. it's weird when you look at the Fulham team. It's very similar to us in terms of their setup, 4-3-3, with the holding midfielder and say 2 8s, and then the 2 wide players and the central player up front, and they like to press high as well, like we do. And they're very fluid, so they're not rigid in their positions. They do like to shuffle the pack around, which again, Arteta likes as well. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup because the two teams are very evenly matched. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out tactically on the pitch. I think our midfield is going to be key. So whether it be Partey in there, presumably Rice and Ødegaard, it's going to be key that Partey breaks up that play and we've got Rice and Ødegaard driving the team forward. And we've seen Rice do this obviously in recent weeks, particularly with the lack of threat up front. We do need that player running into the box to support Mourinho because, let's face it, and I'm assuming he's going to play now, it's just, he's got no pace. He's just kind of up there and yeah, it's just a body up there in it. And then there's their forward line. So Fulham's ability to switch positions, press high up the pitch, cause chaos in the opposing boxes. Gabriel and Saliba are going to have their work cut out. I mean, we know, we've seen Raul Jimenez before. He scored against us earlier this season, I believe. And yeah, that's always going to be a tough battle. I mean, what would we be like if we had a focal point like Jimenez in the team now? I think he's a really good, underrated player, to be honest. Finally, our offensive battle. As always, our wide players are going to be the emphasis. Whoever those wide players are, the key is going to be them in terms of any creativity with us going forward. Right, let's take a look at the form guide and the head-to-head between the two teams. Starting with the recent form. So, Arsenal have been solid over the last 6 games. We picked up 2 wins, 3 draws and 1 loss. Now, the main headlines out of that was the 7-1 victory, obviously, over PSV in the Champions League. There was that draw against Man United, through gritted teeth. Meanwhile, Fulham, mixed bag really. They've had 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses in their last 6 outings. And they have shown flashes of brilliance, to be fair. But, you know, I guess a bit like us, they struggle for consistency across the piece. Now onto the head-to-head record between the two teams. The Gunners have had the upper hand over that time with 3 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss. Our most recent encounter, of course, this season ended 1-1 with Saliba getting the equaliser. And God, how close were we to getting that goal as well, but Martinelli offside and we could have had a winner, and oh God, that was really, really frustrating. But historically, Arsenal have dominated this fixture. But, you know, Fulham, as with all in the derbies, you know, they can be tough and they can be good on their day. So the stats are in our favour, but can we take anything for granted? Please let me know in the comments what you're thinking of this game. Fulham will be hungry to make a statement, no doubt, and we'll need to be at our best to secure a win. And let's face it, I mean, as much as we haven't got much to play for, we want to win the game. You know, we don't want to just peter out in this season. It'd be disastrous. And not only that, you know, we need to take some element of form in our Champions League games with Real Madrid. So, you know, we need to find something and just get some momentum going. That's it, people. There you have it. My predictions for the game, personally, I think we're going to win. I think it's going to be comfortable. I'm looking at 2-0, feeling confident. But, you know, less about me, more about you. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts. Have I got the tactical analysis right? Is there something else that we should be looking at? Do you think that there's other star men within the Fulham team that we should be focusing our attention on? Or do you simply think it's about us? There you have it, people. That's your match preview for Arsenal versus Fulham. And for what it's worth, I think we'll win 2-0. I think it'll be a comfortable win. But you know what? I'm more interested in what you guys think. So please make sure you're adding your comments below. Let me know your thoughts on the tactics, the formations, the lineups, and your predictions as well. And make sure you're liking the video and please subscribe to the channel. It's great to have you here. It's great to be back. Come on, you Gunners.